Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki Jai. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu. Today, before we offer our prayers at the feet of Bhagwan, we shall go through two incidents which illustrate once again the glory of Bhagwan. Once, Shri Mukilan of Chennai brought Shri Ra Ganapathi. People generally know about Shri Ra Ganapathi, a great devotee of Kanchi Paramacharya. His 7 books, The Voice of God, he has written 7 volumes. And those volumes speak volumes of Shri Paramacharya's knowledge, excellent knowledge, genius and glory. He is very famous for that. So he had come with Shri Mukilan and Swami invited them to the morning breakfast hut. As usual, when Swami was approaching the breakfast hut, the 3 kittens were very excited and they were running here and there, crying out to Swami. And Swami, with a smile, entered the hut. And immediately a plate was placed for the 3 kittens. 1 idli, 2 or 3 idlis were placed. And then they poured milk also over that. And then the kittens got very busy with them. Bhagwan was looking at them now and then, making sure that they were eating it. After that, as usual, Mrs. Radhalakshmi offered a bouquet of red hibiscus flowers. And Swami distributed 1 to each. All the men were seated on one side of Swami, all the women were seated on the other side. Now, Bhagavan gestured to us to sing, and we sang the usual songs up till Kurai Undumille. After that, that day, before we started from Sudama, there was an extra bunch of bananas. Bhagwan was very particular that we should take it and distribute it in the ashram. So we had brought it with us, and immediately Bhagwan gestured to me to take it out. And then he took 1 banana, peeled it, and then called Shri Ra Ganapathi to come near, and very, very lovingly he placed it in the hand of Shri Ra Ganapathi and said, "Please eat it." Shri Ra Ganapathi was not at all enthusiastic about it. In fact, his face expressed just the opposite, but he took it without saying anything. And by the time he finished, Bhagwan was ready with the next one, a peeled banana, and he placed it again in the hand of Shri Ra Ganapathi and said, "Please eat it." And the way Bhagwan said it, he could not refuse it. So again, considering it as prasad, he took it. Of course, it took quite some time for him to finish it. It was difficult for him to eat. And then the 3rd peeled banana was ready, and this time he heavily objected. He said, "Swami, I have not eaten this banana for years. It doesn't agree with my stomach at all. It will create havoc. I do not know how many days it would take to digest it. I took the other 2 as your prasad. Please don't give me." Bhagwan said, "No, Ganapathi, this is necessary. So Father wants you to take it. Please take it." And then Shri Ra Ganapathi could not say anything. He took it and again, bit by bit, he consumed it, taking his own time. And he looked very poorly and invited pity from all of us. And then, when he finished it with great difficulty, the fourth one was ready in Bhagwan's hand. This time, Ra Ganapathi almost fell upon that to deny. He said, Swami, no, I cannot take it. Then Swami said, okay, at least take half of this. And then he gave half to him. And he kept half with himself. So it was half, and I knew Shri Ra Ganapathi was this Leela was coming to an end, so he consumed that also. But his face spoke volumes of what he felt about his Leela. Anyway, at the end of the session, Swami got up, and Shri Ra Ganapathi also got up. Swami took his hand and started to walk out. They went up to the car. When Swami was there, near the car, Shri Selvaraj brought a wooden plank and put it there so that Swami could climb on that and then get inside the car comfortably. At the time, Shri Ra Ganapathi spoke again. He said, Swami, unusually, I have taken so much of banana, I have no idea what it's going to cause in my stomach and how many days it will take for digestion. And what is more, I have been invited by Akash Hotel, Sri Muthukrishnan, for breakfast. I have absolutely no idea whether I can even touch that. I do not know what I will do. Then Swami looked at him, smiled, and raised his hands. He looked at the sky now, and then made some gestures with his palms. He moved both his hands in certain ways, looking at the sky, and then finally declared, Ra Ganapathi, whatever you ate is already digested. You have nothing to worry. So with this firm declaration, he got into the car, and then we took leave of Shri Ra Ganapathi. And afterwards, when Mukilan came next time, he reported to us that after going to Akash Hotel, where the breakfast was given to him, he ate 1 dosa and 3 idlis and a cup of coffee. So much his stomach could accommodate, true to what Bhagavan declared. Such was the Leela of Bhagavan. We do not know what really transpired from Bhagavan to Shri Ra Ganapathi. I am sure that Bhagavan had done some good work upon him that particular day, and Shri Ra Ganapathi also knew it. Another time, when Swami was staying in the chariot mandap, quite a few people approached him, because at that time there was a heavy rumor everywhere that all the 9 planets were coming into some alignment, and which meant a certain disaster to the world. And so they came and complained, Swami, what's going to happen to the world? All those planets are coming in a line. What can we do? Then Swami got up and said, oh, Shri Arunachaleshwara wants this beggar to do something. And then he again looked at the sky, raised both his hands, and made some gestures looking at the sky. And then he gave a kick towards north, another kick towards east, a third kick towards south, and the fourth kick towards west. And again he looked at the sky, moved his hands, and then brought them down with a firm declaration. Now everything will be all right. Nothing, no harm will come upon the world. You people can rest assured. So again, the same gesture somewhat, we do not know what he did. Obviously, he had adjusted the planets. He used to say this beggar can play football with the planets. So obviously, he had played football that day. Such is the glory of Bhagwan, who could set right the impending disaster not to take place. We shall appeal to such power of Bhagwan, such glory of Bhagwan, such compassion of Bhagwan. Bhagwan, kindly make some gesture like you did those times and bring an end to this disaster, this which is causing havoc in the world. The whole world is suffering in the grip of this virus. Please do something and bring back normalcy in every aspect of life, everywhere. Now today, we would share a certain experience that illustrates another aspect of Bhagwan's grace, Bhagwan's glory. One day, there is one Sringeri Matam, Shankaracharya. They have a matam, they have a mutt in Chennai, a branch, and they are running a magazine called Tattva Loka. The founding editor of the Tattva Loka magazine, T.R. Ramachandran, and the managing editor, Srimati Sarala Panchapakesan, and her husband, a banker, Shri Panchapakesan. All the three of them came to have a darshan of Bhagwan in Tiruvannamalai. They are from Hong Kong, they were living in Hong Kong, and Shri Venkatramani Guruji of Chennai, Kakabujan, Nadi Jyotiram, he had visited Hong Kong and he spoke gloriously about Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar living in Tiruvannamalai. After that, they were so much drawn to him, and they used to visit Tiruvannamalai, Ramanashramam, but they never heard about him, so they never visited. But now, this time, when they had come to Tiruvannamalai, through Sri V. Ganeshan of Ramanashramam, they came to have darshan of Bhagwan. Bhagwan welcomed them, made them sit in front of him, and then was asking them, "Where are you all from?" "Hong Kong." "Oh, you are living in Hong Kong. How did you come to know about this beggar, this dirty beggar?" They said, "Swami, Shri Venkataramani Guruji told us about you." "Oh, someone has duped you about this beggar. This beggar is a mere beggar. He is very bad, very mad, very lazy and crazy. Don't believe all that." And then burst into his inimitable peals of laughter. They folded their hands, looked at his radiant face and divinity, and said, "Swami, whatever you say about yourself, your very appearance betrays that. We are able to see the divine in you, and we are drawn to you." And then after that, Bhagwan started to ask about Hong Kong, and Bhagwan knew so much about it. He was talking about this drug trafficking there and smuggling and all that. And then he, after knowing that they were journalists, he also had an opinion or two to say about it. He said the journalists must write more gloriously about India and uplift its traditional wisdom. And then after that, he started to talk about Shri Jiddu Krishnamurti. And he was saying that Shri Krishnamurti ji is attacking the very root of religion, the idea of God and Guru. And people are getting affected by that. You know, it was as though he was testing them, so he spoke negatively about the ideas of Jiddu Krishnamurti, and they were shocked. They never thought about it this way, and that a Mahatma like Yogi Ramsuratkumar should speak like that. But because of the deference, because of their respect towards Bhagwan, they said, yes, Swami. The minute they said, they agreed with Swami, Bhagwan flared up. Oh, you agree with this? That is very, very wrong. You don't understand even the fundamental teachings of Jiddu Krishnamurti. He is one of the greatest saints of India. And there is such truth in his statements. And he is not saying anything new. It is the ancient wisdom of India that is coming through in different words. He is one of the greatest saints of India. He is also easily misunderstood by ignorant people. So this is what this beggar was trying to say. And then he raised both his hands and blessed them. Another time, Mrs. Sarala Panchapakesan brought a Chinese lady by name Angela Wang from Hong Kong. This lady has a great love for India, and especially for Varanasi. Some of the astrologers told her it's because she lived in Varanasi in her last birth. So after she came to Bhagwan, the first thing Bhagwan asked her was, have you been to Varanasi? And then she happily said yes. And then Bhagwan did something totally unexpected by people. He asked that lady to come and sit in front of him, and then said, you spread your palms. You put your hands on the floor with palms up like this. And she did. And then Bhagwan lifted both his legs and put his lotus feet, the divine lotus feet, upon her hand, upon her palms. And he stayed put like that for quite some time with hands raised in benediction. And after this took quite some time, and after that Bhagwan took his legs away and blessed her and said, you would be a Chinese herbal healer, a very successful one from now on. What a boon. How fortunate that lady is. It must be her bhakti for India that must have invoked such huge grace from Bhagwan. She was very happy. A few years back she visited our ashram. When I ran into her, I was very delightfully surprised. And then I took her hands and put my eyes on them in worship, because those hands were visited by Bhagwan's divine feet. And then she said, today I'm a successful Chinese herbal healer in Hong Kong. I'm quite involved with my work. And by Bhagwan's grace, it is saving many people, curing many people's diseases. I always think of Yogi Ramsuratkumar. I'm very devoted to him. And I know my success, my knowledge in this, and the grace that accompanies all my attempts in this are because of Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar. And she said it with tears in her eyes and folded hands. We shall submit our prayer to this boundless compassion of Bhagwan. And today we have two incidents that would illustrate the glory of the grace of Bhagwan. Bhagwan had often said, any incident connected with him, any experience of a devotee connected with him, at the mere recalling of this, it would fetch a lot of blessings. Even if people think of his coconut shell, it would bring a huge blessing to them. This is his promise. And that is the reason why we are going through incident after incident, incidents of glory, incidents of His grace, His boundless love. Now, the first one, there is one lady by name Selvi. One day, she has a 3-year-old daughter. One day she found that the anus, there was pain, itching, and what was more, it began to increase. And then it became very difficult to pass motion. It became very difficult to sit down. And then there was a lot of pus. It was like a wound. And then they took her to the hospital, the relatives. There the doctor said, this looks like cancer. And what is more, it has advanced to such a stage that we would be unable to do anything about it now. You have kept her too long without any treatment. Anyway, now that you have brought her, we will do what we can, but we would like to tell you that she is counting her days. If she has any desire, please fulfill it before that. So when they heard it, when this lady heard it, she felt terrible. She just did not know what to do. And she was looking at her daughter, just 3 years old. Who will look after her? Where will she go? At that time, one of the relatives came to know about it. He used to come to Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan. So he said, Amma, there is a doctor of doctors, the great doctor, a divine doctor, I know. I would take you to him. And then after that, we will leave it to him to do what he would prefer. So he took her. And this devotee used to go often to Bhagwan, so pretty close to Bhagwan. So Bhagwan let them in and then listened to the whole story. So he blessed her a lot and then declared. He said, Selvi is all right. She is free from whatever she was suffering from. You can continue the treatment or not. It's left to you, but she is all right. A very firm declaration from Bhagwan, a huge, gracious declaration. What a blessing for somebody who was counting her days. What a huge blessing. What did she do to deserve this? Her holding on to her faith in him. Okay, there is no hope, no God to help, no relatives to help, no friends to help. If there is any savior, only a savior can do. And then this kind of faith in Bhagwan worked this miracle. The next one, the other case, there was one Narayana. He had had a paralytic attack. His one side, his limbs, his hand and the leg not functioning anymore. And his mouth also had turned one side, was unable to talk well. And what was more, he was suffering from a peculiar burning sensation. His friend Kannan, who lived in Bangalore at that time, he went to see this friend, Narayanan. Narayanan said, look, I am unable to suffer anymore. I don't know what is happening to me. There is this burning right at the scalp. I don't know what to do. And then he was crying so much. Then Kannan said that he knew a doctor who would treat people with herbs in Chennai. So he said, I would take you to him. You may feel better afterwards, because I've seen many people going to him and getting better. So I would take you there, and before that you come to my house, let us have some food, and then we would push ahead to Chennai. So both of them went to his house. Kannan took him, and then when they sat there to eat, when they were eating actually, Narayanan saw a photo there in the hall, a photo of our Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. He felt something inside, something melting inside. He felt a stir, a deep response, a response from the depths of his being. He immediately asked his friend Kannan, who is this? Then he said, this is Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, that I go to him very often. He is a great, great power. There is nothing he cannot do. He is all-knowing. He is all-pervasive. And then he said, he narrated some of the experiences he had had after he began to come to Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Listening to all that, Narayanan was deeply impressed. What was more, there was some intuitive reaction from him. He felt a huge love, devotion towards this Mahatma, whom he had not seen or heard before that. So he said, I don't want to go to any doctor now. Now that I have seen this God here, I feel that by worshipping him, I would be able to find a solution to my problem. So please tell me more about him. Give me a photograph of Bhagwan. I will worship him, I will chant his name, and I will beg him. And I'm sure he will help me. So he took a photograph from the friend. They did not go to Chennai. Narayanan returned home. And then he began to worship. He began to chant the name of Bhagwan and worship with his entire being. He put the photograph in the puja room. He was suffering all over the body, and in the night after 12 o'clock, he began to get again this terrible burning sensation. It was as though he was on fire, right at the scalp. So he started to scream. He started to writhe in pain. And then now he remembered Yogi Ramsuratkumar, his Nama. He held on to the feet of Yogi Ramsuratkumar tightly, mentally, began chanting, and somehow he moved to the puja room slowly, slowly, and then sat before the picture of Bhagavan, held on to his feet tight, prayed and prayed and prayed, chanting the name and crying and screaming, Bhagavan, please do something. I'm unable to bear. Please do something. And he kept pressing ahead. And suddenly, after nearly an hour, he felt a cool breeze over his head, as though somebody was fanning him. It was so cool, and he felt the burning sensation reducing little by little. And he was actually only half conscious. He had reached that kind of state. He felt somebody was fanning him, and suddenly he knew that it was Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan who was doing it. He was very sure. And then this went on for some time. Finally, the burning sensation completely stopped. And what was more, it was followed by an ecstatic experience. He was completely soaked in this experience, and after that, slowly, slowly, he got back to his bed and slept very nicely. The next day morning, he still had something of the experience lingering. He was very, very happy, and he thought it was over, Bhagwan had cured him. But in the night again, after 12 o'clock, the burning started, and soon he was on fire. He was screaming, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. And then again, he somehow moved slowly to the puja room and sat before Bhagwan. Again he held on to his feet mentally and prayed, lamented and prayed, chanted his name, put his entire being, entire heart and soul into it. After some time, again like the day before, he felt somebody fanning overhead, and it was a very cool breeze alleviating his burning sensation slowly, gradually, and finally the sensation was gone completely, and the cool breeze took over his entire being. There was an ecstatic experience, and after that, again he slowly came back to bed and slept off. The next day again he was expecting, he was so scared, he was terrified that the sensation would return in the midnight. But then at the same time, he felt assured that Bhagwan would come and do something. But to his delight and surprise, there was no burning sensation that day. And what was more, never after that. And again, slowly, sensation returned to his hand and the leg, and his mouth also, the position of his mouth was set right very soon. Gradually, everything happened, and then he knew, and Yogi Ramsuratkumar became his one obsession of life. So what did these people do to deserve such boundless grace from Bhagwan? That is the soulful prayer, soulful nama chanting, and above all, the faith in Bhagwan, that Bhagwan would certainly do something to relieve. And so let us appeal to our Bhagwan with the same faith, putting our heart, soul into it, and seek his blessings for relief from the clutches of this virus. So this morning, before we submit our prayers, we shall share two incidents, two glorious incidents, which illustrate the greatness of our Bhagwan. In the first incident, Swamiji Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan was seated in the Sannadhi Street house with a small crowd of people, but he was very, very busy with them. At the time, a group of foreigners had come and they submitted a questionnaire at the feet of Bhagwan and prayed for answers to them. Bhagwan looked at them and said, "Look, see how busy I am here. I cannot see you now. You can come back tomorrow." And the next day, when those people presented themselves readily, he read out the first question. The question was, "Swami, we would like to be initiated into a powerful mantra, but we do not know the Mahatmas here. Please guide us to a very competent, great soul." As soon as Bhagwan read it out, pat came the reply from Bhagwan, "This beggar feels that you should go and get initiated by Swami Veereshwarananda, the head of Ramakrishna Mats, the president in Belur Mat." The minute he pronounced that, those foreigners fell at his feet with folded hands. And very apologetically, they offered profuse apologies at his feet. And in humble spirit, they said, "Swami, please forgive us. Please forgive us. We have done a bad thing. We wanted to test you because we heard that people said that you were a Mahatma. And since we had no idea, we had a genuine doubt whether you are truly a Mahatma or not. So we wanted to test it. And that is why we submitted this questionnaire. But in the very first question, the very first answer to the first question. You have revealed your greatness. You have revealed your divinity to us. Kindly forgive us, kindly forgive us. And they begged with profuse apologies, and all that Bhagwan said was, it is okay. Shri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa himself said that you can test the Guru, you can test Mahatma from all angles before accepting him as your Guru. So saying, he blessed them nicely and sent them away. Such is the greatness of our Bhagwan. Another time, when Shri Perumal Raju was seated with Bhagwan in that small veranda of Sannadhi Street House, a few propagandists of the Christian missionaries, some Christian missionaries had visited and they were also seated there. And they were watching all that was happening there, particularly Bhagwan. People were coming one after the other, prostrating before him. But all that Bhagwan did was just sit there and smoke and smoke and smoke. He was not looking up. He was not making any conversation. And what was more, he looked very dirty. How could this be a Mahatma? A dirty-looking beggar, smoking all the time. So, a little later, they expressed it also, they voiced it out, saying, Swami, in our religion, a father would go in the middle of people around, would converse with them, would interact with them, and know their problems, and then he would try to help them. And what is more, he would build a church, he would build a hospital, he would build a school, he would build orphanages. So a father is very, very useful to the community. Whereas what we see here is just the opposite. You have not moved from your place, and you have not even changed your clothes, you look so dirty. And what is more, you are chain smoking. Immediately, Bhagwan said, without looking at them, he was addressing it to Shri Perumal Raju. Perumal Raju, do you know the sun up there in the sky, does it build hospitals, orphanages, schools? Does it have to talk to people to solve their problems? But because of its shine, the entire world and its activities take place. A yogi is like that sun. And when he finished saying it, they saw his radiant face and the power that accompanied the words, the declaration, and instantly they felt the truth of his statement, and they were very moved, and they prostrated before him with folded hands, and then left. Bhagwan blessed them, and then they left. To such glorious Bhagwan, we shall appeal. We appeal to his generosity,